Okay, so for the background, I'm going to be using, and the stairs, I'm going to be using titanium buff, raw umber. I'm going to make enough paint in here to last, because I'm going to make a you know, enough medium tone, and then I will add highlights and darks to it. Okay. This is going to dry darker. Always keep in mind that what you're seeing is going to dry darker. Okay. Bit of ultramarine violet. Touch. Not much, just a bit. Okay. This is a good color.
Are you going to use the blue at all?
Yeah, I will. And I'll show you in a minute how we're going to use it. Wipe my brush a bit so it's not, because I was mixing with this. And let's try. Yeah, looks like a good color.
We should be going around the railing, of course, if we can, right?
Well, yeah, but don't be too careful.
Not too fussy, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about it not being water resistant, so we'll see how it goes.
Mine isn't too either, so we'll see. Let's go here first. Do this. Okay, now I'm going to get closer to the face, and getting closer to the face, I just have to be careful. I don't want to change her features. This is a good first layer, kind of, because my first layer is not thick paint. Okay, so it goes into all of the grooves of the hopefully of the canvas. Second layer will be playing around with the color a little bit more. I'm going to change my brush, a round one.
Would you make that area a little bit darker to distinguish between the skin tone and the wall?
It's going to dry darker.
Okay.
And it's a different, one is cool and one is warm. Her skin tone is warm and this color is cool. That's why I'm using, I didn't use burnt umber. I used raw umber because burnt umber is warmer and it's going to, you know, be closer to her skin, her skin tone. That's why I didn't do that. I tried to keep it cooler, but I wouldn't go darker, no.
Are you leaving a little line around her face, or are you going to fill that in?
It's okay if I leave a little line. I am not gonna go, I'm not gonna be fussy about this. It's I would rather push her nose out if I want to you know, not to leave that line. I don't mind leaving the line, actually. It's nice. It's like an illustration where you have a bit of that dark line around the face or the actual drawing. See how it goes. If it's thin, it's not too much, it's not too harsh. It's okay. Okay, so over here. I will redo the upper part of the rail and make it a little bit wider. But I'm trying to soften that black in here, so I don't want too much. I would probably eventually, once everything is dry, if the black looks too strong, I would go back and glaze it, soften this. So now in between this, the black I have here, I'm just going to put dots and suggestion of the wall. In between, so this wall here is turning in. So I'm going to go a bit darker. I'm going to push in tiny bit more of the raw umber and ultramarine violet. I'm just going to come here. It's going to dry darker because this wall is back. So the trick is with the ones that are in the back, this design of the ironwork, you put a suggestion, but once you start getting closer, you put a couple that are, you can see the design well. Okay, let's do that. This is drying darker, which is great. I would do this here even a bit darker. Just push it back. Put this one here. And you'll see in a minute, I will highlight some of those details. This is where the leash is. I'm going to go over it. Okay. Let's darken this a bit more. Let me see the stairs here. Yeah. The value is darker on this part. So I'm going to bring in a bit more of the raw umber and ultramarine violet. Let's do that. I'm leaving a very thin line because I'm going to highlight this line. I'm going to put a bit more white in there. Not white, titanium buff. If I go over the dark part and the staircase, the ironwork, if I go over it and it's I lose it, I'm not worried. I'm going to go back and put it back in. Okay. You know what? I'm going to just go over this and then we'll do it later. The crystals.
Sorry, I have to leave. I gotta
Okay.
go. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye. Have a nice
Bye.
weekend.
That's why I like to, when I transfer my painting or my drawing, I like to keep the original because then I can go back if I lose the, when I'm painting, if I lose the design, I can go back to my original drawing and put it back on. Turned out to be a little bit too light. I'll try, just make it a bit darker here. Now, before I continue this, I'm just going to work on this part again. I don't want it to be lighter. I just want it to be more interesting. So I'm pushing raw umber in here. Oh. I'm going to start again. This is the second layer. And I'm just going to take now at this point, ultramarine violet. Put it in. So when you're looking at it, you're not looking at a flat wall. A bit of cerulean in here. So you look at some blues, hint of blue, hint of purple. The wall is not flat. It has an interesting kind of color in there. Very small amount. So it makes it a lot more interesting than just one color. First color we did is, first layer was just to cover the actual canvas. And then the second layer, we're just playing around with some hints of blues and purple and beautiful. It's so soft. It looks great. Nice. I'm not going to touch this. This is okay, but I'm going to be highlighting the wall in a minute. Now, we can, at this point, continue and working on, let's see, the riser is lighter. Okay. I'm going to take a bit of ultramarine violet into the same color, and I'm just going to put the top of the stairs here, each one of them. I kept them very simple. I'm not going to do the rounded edge of the steps. This is not, we just want to see a hint. Usually I wait for it to dry to see, because when it dries, acrylic dries harsher, it dries, it settles, the paint settles in different corners of the area where you're painting. So you really have to, most of the time, wait a bit, see if you need another layer. And then I can figure out how dark and how light I should be going. All right.
Is the floor going to be the same?
Hmm?
The floor.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, what color did you do those steps?
I use the same color that I'm using, but I am just adding a bit of ultramarine violet and yeah, just a bit darker.
Okay.
So I dip in it. I put the color and I dip in it, some ultramarine violet and some blues. This is our first layer. Once it's dry, we'll go back and see what we need to do to make it lighter, cleaner, more color, less color. Right now, it's just covering the canvas. Okay. Getting there. Now, if I find that this is too dark and it's not, you know, the color is not what I want, that's okay. This is the first layer. I can adjust all of this. But up till now, it looks good. It doesn't look bad at all. Uh-oh. City is here. They're cutting trees. We have one in the front yard that needs to be, they're gonna cut it because it's dead. One of the big ones. What is it called? The one, birch? Birch. They marked it. Sometimes I feel like going with my paint and removing so they don't, they can't find it. Okay. Turn this around and clean this up here. And we're getting there. Okay. Now, with my dry brush, I'm going to go in and do this. Glaze this a bit. Okay, now. We still have work to do. So I'm just going to finish this, get rid of all of the wall in there, the color of the canvas. All right, okay. Wider, bigger brush, maybe this one. Let's see. Now I'm going to take more titanium buff. But lighter, so I don't want too much of the, I'm just using whatever left over in here from the darks, but pulling in titanium buff. So it's lighter. It's so hard to cover the canvas with the first layer. I take a touch of darker color in here because this is where it turns in. So this part is a little bit darker. No, this part. And this one is a little bit darker and this one is lighter. So eventually I'll be doing that. Riser, they're slightly lighter. Put some water in here so I can get good coverage. It's a bit too light, but we'll wait for the. I'll wait for the dry for the paint to dry, and I'll adjust again. By the time it's dry, if I find that it needs to be, it needs to go, be darker, lighter, whatever it needs adjusting, I'll do that. But I have to wait for it to dry first. Okay, I'm going to stop recording for a minute. So now after I put all of the colors that, cover the canvas color, I'm going to start working on highlights and on a bit of detail. So what I did is I wet this area. I wetted this area again with titanium buff and some raw umber in here, just a kind of a general wetting around. And then I'm taking white because the color is wet, the paint is wet. I'm dipping white in here, and I'm just pushing that white gently with a round brush to create a highlight in here, because this stone turns around, it turns around. It's not flat. So by doing this, the only way to get that very soft kind of light and dark and soft turning of the stone is to have a wet paint and to blend softly in between. So I have a really kind of seamless kind of transition from dark to light. Bring it up a bit. So white over here. And you can see it looks like it's mostly here. The white is over here. This is dark and this is dark. It comes in, comes out this way, and then it goes in again. Meanwhile, the whole time what I'm doing is I'm glancing at the actual original reference of the staircase, just to make sure my highlights and darks are in the right place. Just shaping up really nice. Okay. See, I can see here, this is slightly darker, and this is really highlighted in here. Now, I'm going to highlight the top of the stairs right here, all of this and over here. So I'm going to take same color, always go back to the same color, titanium buff, add some raw umber in it. Keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. And now I'm going to take white. Oh dear. I got blue. Okay. Take white, put it in. Okay, let's try to do this. Okay, where do I see it? I see here. Oh, that's very, very light. Okay. Let's put a bit of titanium buff and okay, a bit more white. And I'm sorry, I have to turn it around to get the perfect shape of the semicircle here. There. That's perfect. Perfect here. It's perfect. Okay, good. Now let's go back. Titanium buff, raw umber, and white. And let's highlight this part and go in. Now, I'm going to take titanium buff and raw umber. And I'm going to put another line. Oh, that's too, just a hint of a lighter color line in here. Yeah, that's better. Again. This is good. A wider one and see how it's just a hint of some interesting or some elegant work trim on the wall. Okay. We can do the same over here if we want. We can put some trim, but I don't think, I'm not sure if we need to do that. I just don't want anything to interfere with her face, but we'll see in a minute and later on if we need to do that. I take a bit of white now because it's wet. The paint is wet here, and I'm going to put some white in here. Blend it in softly. Okay, that's good. Let's try to put a lip on that step. It's much easier to sketch this than to use paint. Okay, I have to. more white because this is paint. This paint is wet right now, so I can dip some white in it to highlight this part. Take some dark titanium buff and brown, or raw umber, I should say. And soften this part a bit. Now, I'm adding now white to the same mixture of titanium buff and raw umber. Tone it down a bit. If you don't want to do the lip that on the steps, you don't need to. I'm going to take white now, just a bit of white, because this part turns around. So, of course, this part is darker. So I'm going to highlight the front part. We're getting there. How many more steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my God, 6, 4, 5. We're getting there. It's looking much, much nicer. It looks interesting. I'm gonna put a wall here. Because we don't see where those steps end, but we should see a bit of the wall on an angle. So I will highlight this area and then work on that one. Okay, what else do we need to highlight in those steps? I think we're good. We're fine here. We'll just do these. Work on this next week. Right. I'm going to do this part.
Sorry, Leah, what color is that you're using there?
This is titanium buff and mixed with a bit of raw umber and white.
Okay.
So Liel, I'm going to get going, but thank you
Okay.
very much. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Have a
So we'll
great
see you-
rest of the week.
Yeah, and you too, and everybody
Thank
have a good, enjoy the good weather.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
thank you.
too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
It's looking good.